Hello, and thank you for tuning in to one of our total success videos. Today we're going to be talking about the disciplinary process. My name is Warren Wint. For the past 30 years I've been in training. I've been training full-time since 1995, and in my previous roles as manager and director I've carried out numerous disciplinary procedures. One of the key things I've emphasised on our videos before is the fact that this type of process, once you get to the point where you now are in a disciplinary process, it can be quite stressful for both parties, both the person who is conducting the disciplinary, the organisation, and also for the employee. Something is broken down, something procedural is broken down in relation to what was the expectations of the person, what the person understood, what the person did, and the management of that through to this particular point. Something's broken down. I don't say this in terms of blame because in any particular process, in any particular relationship, and let's call it subordinate boss or worker-worker relationships, things sometimes do break down, relationships break down. But one of the things that you should be very clear about is a communication process. Are the channels there? Do people understand what's expected of them? Are they talked through on a regular basis? Have a one-to-ones, counselling? Before you get to this particular process, there has to be either a breakdown of understanding or commitment on either side of the relationship. And what these videos do is they allow you to be able to think through, not just in terms of what you do, what you say, but also thinking through where you are at this precise moment in time. You're watching this because obviously you've got some sort of issue, some sort of challenge at work, and you want to get some information through. We're very happy to produce these videos, and we hope that they give you some recommendations, some suggestions about what to do. If you need to get further information, please go to our website, www.totalsuccess.co.uk, where you can see our courses, our information, and some of our free downloads as well. You can also, there's lots of HR sites around that give you very, very specific information. And if you're in the UK, ACAS, the Advisory, Conciliation and Arbitration Service, we base a lot of our disciplinary procedures around their guidelines, and we always say that they produce probably the most comprehensive set of guidelines there for organisations to follow. So the ACAS guidelines are what we set as our benchmark in terms of procedures. We've talked before about an informal process, but at the moment, if you're watching this, you've gone past the informal process, now you're in the actual formal disciplinary process. One of the things we always say to people is, if you go through an informal process, one of the tips is do not mention the words warning, discipline, or formal. Those are three trigger words you should never mention when you're going for an informal process, because they may indicate to somebody that this is a more formal process, whereby you might think it's just an informal warning, a chat. There is no such thing as an informal warning. There are business counselling, there are one-to-ones, there are meetings, but be aware of the terminology you use. People may be confused that they're on a warning when they're actually not. You've got to this point now. You've decided to take some formal action. You've gone through mediation, you've gone through the informal channels, you've gone through training and processing. By this stage, you should have carried through a number of communications with the employee, conversations, one-to-ones, and you feel that you're at the point of no return. What this video does is give you an overview of what you should be looking to do. If you've gone past the informal, you're now in the formal process, then you need to be able to indicate, let the person know that you are going to take formal action. You've got to establish the facts of the situation. What are the facts? There's no point having opinions on this. You cannot convict anybody of stealing without facts and evidence, so please do not go through this particular process without that itself. So you need to make sure that you have established the facts of the situation. You have notified the employee in writing so that they know exactly what the process is, what the infringements have been, what they're accused of, if we call it that way, so that they're fully aware of that, and it has to be in writing. You have to make sure that they understand where the meeting is, what the meeting involves, what their rights are. So you need to let them know that the meeting will be on a particular time, a particular date, and you need to give them enough time to be able to prepare themselves for that. Also, one of the key things is you have to be able to allow the person to be accompanied. Now, this could be done. This could be set into your organisational processes. In most organisations, a person everybody has a right to be accompanied, but it may be a colleague at work. That they want to carry out, or a trade union official. Some people ask if they can bring in friends, outside people, solicitors and things like that. It depends on the organisation, but in most cases it is down to you as to what you allow the person to do. In most cases it is a workplace colleague or a trade union representative. Once you have the meeting, then the decision, then you need to be able to come to a decision as to what will happen. So you decide what action you're going to take. Now, once you've had the meeting, and we'll talk you through, on one of our other videos, we talk you through how to conduct the meeting. The sort of things you need to say from the beginning, from the middle, how to talk to the employee, how to ask and answer questions, how to discuss these particular issues, how to get a dialogue going with the employee so that you're following all the procedures as well. Once you've had the meeting, then you need to be able to inform the employee of the result of the actual meeting itself. It could be no action is taken. You may then think about, well, what do we need to do now? Is it first written warning or improvement plan? Is it a final written warning? Will it be dismissal or another sanction? The extent by which you carry through on the second part of that depends upon the infringement itself. Now, to go into disciplinary, you need to understand what rules, what guidelines, what company procedures, terms and conditions are being broken, what performance issues are not being met, what behavioural standards have been consistently broken for you to go through this. Your staff handbook should contain all of the, or most of the details by which you would say at what stage you would consider this as a disciplinary. First written, final written, dismissal, gross misconduct. If you have a set of organisational procedures, they should be set out. You should be able to go to those and say, in this situation, I will go to first written. That's what most people will do. That's what most organisations will advise you to do. Depends on the seriousness of the nature. You can't have a rule for everybody, because all organisations are different depending on what they have. But make sure that all your procedures are set out and it is clearly available to everybody and is understood by everybody. Once you have carried through the meeting, then you will, in writing, allow the employee to understand what the decision has been. If you decide on a formal a next phase of disciplinary, or whatever it will be, then you not only have you got to write to the employee, but you've also given the opportunity to appeal. Now, if the person themselves decides to take the appeal, then you have to be able to look at what the evidence again, or hold the appeal meeting. If after this, the whatever stage it is, the performance or the behaviour does not improve, then you have to think about what the next stage is going to be. So from the appeal, you may reconsider the evidence, the arguments, you may consider what the person has said, you may fall into new areas, there may be other areas which have come up which need to be clarified, and then you decide what to do with that. You may decide to continue with there, you may decide that the evidence itself decides that the person will not go through the next stages. If you do, then you follow through in terms of the procedure. That could either mean the next stage, could be a final written warning, could be a second stage disciplinary, could even lead to dismissal as well. These are some of the key things that you have to think about as terms of the overview of this. If you decide to take no action, then that should be written to the employee. If you decide to take second stage action or tertiary stage action, then you write to the employee. They should know their full rights and what the next stages will be. If you decide that the person you're going to carry through with the actual disciplinary, then you would write to them and explain to them what the issues are, what was discussed at the meeting, what the findings were, what actions need to be taken by the employee, and in what sort of time frame will the disciplinary continue through. Now, you can determine yourself what the time frame will be. Will it be 3 months, 6 months, a year's time? Very much up to you as to what the time frames are. But really what you're saying to the employee is there's a vigilant process over your behaviour and conduct. We will maintain this until you have maintained a consistent set of performance and behaviour within the organisation for us to say that this will no longer be applicable. This will be on the employee's record. And that is an important factor. Be aware of this, because a lot of employees will be very reluctant to want to have disciplinary on their personal record, especially if they are looking for to advance in the organisation, or maybe even looking for other work as well. And that's one of the major areas of where the disciplinary itself allows the employee to rethink their particular process, because it allows them to rethink where their actions are. Now, if you're going through performance issues with an employee, then one of the key things you have to be able to think about is what help and support you need to give them, so that once they have gone through this process, you can allow them to complete the process and come out of the other side being able to wipe this disciplinary from their particular record. So again, it's incumbent on you not just to leave them to flounder, but to help them in every particular way. I came back to the point we made earlier. Have you done everything you can? Have you followed through the full procedures? Do you understand the full procedures? Do you understand where you are on the procedures? Do you know what the stage you are right now? Do you know what the next stage is going to be? If you know all of that, and you know what the full disciplinary processes are, then you can start to put together the disciplinary in a clear way, which allows you to get the best out of a situation, and for you to follow through procedurally what you need to be able to see the person through to the next stage, and hopefully to be able to come out in a positive rather than a negative. That's the overview. We do other videos, we do other webinars, we do downloads, and we actually run training courses on what you can do in terms of. Gives you the full set of criteria about what you need to do to be able to manage this, as I say, stressful and at times difficult area of employee counselling, but it's important to know, and it'll be important to get it right at each stage. As I say, my name is Warren Wint. I represent Total Success Training Limited, and you can get more information from www.totalsuccess.co.uk. And we'd be happy to hear from you, or if you've got any requests or some more information, please contact us, and we will do our best to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on one of our other videos in the future. Thank you.